All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mack, played fast football. Today I'm going to do a video talking about how we use 7-on-7, how we approach 7-on-7. This time of year for us, we start doing some 7-on-7 stuff before school, after school. We find time available to us to, kind of reach the needs of players that are currently with us, not playing another sport, and then trying to get guys that are playing other sports involved when and where we can. Obviously, this time of year, it's tough with players playing other sports. We love having multi-sport athletes, so we're not going to penalize them, or we're not going to, try to impact their sport. We're trying to make sure we take our time to use 7-on-7 appropriately as we build up the spring football. So I'm going to tell you how I look at that from a defensive standpoint, and maybe talk a little bit about offensively what we were trying to do. All right, make sure you check out some of our partners, GameStrat, Sideline Replay Company. We use at Bishop Kenny High School. I used them at my previous high school when I was a head coach. If you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable, great customer service, make sure you check out GameStrat, see why everybody's making the switch. Dome Hats, headwear company, I use with Play Fast Football. We use them here at Bishop Kenny. I've used them at every high school I've been at. If you want custom hats, all right, if you want a company that takes care of athletic teams, guys that have been in the athletic business before, former players, guys who have coached a little bit, guys that I am currently helping coach middle school football, and I like to get involved with them because they have helped us so much. Make sure you check out Dome Hats. Baker Sporting Goods company we use for coaches gear. Spirit Packs, our uniforms are distributed from them. They're in the shoulder pad world. They're big in the baseball world. A lot of different things that Baker Sports can do for you, so make sure you check out Baker Sports. DifferenceUSA Ultimate Striking Machine. Thousands of reps, don't need a partner. It's you and a DifferenceUSA machine. You don't have to worry about somebody holding a hand shield or a dummy or providing resistance. They set up in your weight room, currently on your racks. If you want to strike violently, practice striking violently. Aren Consulting, Dan and his group, the things that they're doing, educating people on the recruiting process while also keeping coaches at the forefront of recruiting. He's doing podcasts now. He's doing a lot of informational meetings. Really need to check it out. They do a great job educating people on NCAA timelines, important dates in the recruiting world, how to build your college contacts, what the recruiting process should look like. So you need to check them out at GETAREN.com. All right, getaren.com. Aren Consulting, Dan and his group, great job keeping coaches at the forefront of recruiting. Make sure you check them out. And I'm excited to announce that we are getting ready to partner up with FlyRoute, a company that is in the drone business. They have an online service that can help you get your license, teaching people how to fly drones, get you FAA certified, all the things that you need to understand. They sell drone equipment. We use drones for our 7-on-7 practice stuff. All of our practice film is filmed from the drone angle. So if you haven't checked out what drone angles look like, even if you maybe can't use them for games, you need to check out what drones look like for practices, 7-on-7, summer work. Check out FlyRoute, all right? I'll be partnering up with them. And then Brandtek, a company located in Wisconsin, several different things that Brandtek is doing. They're in the wellness business. They have, wellness drinks for recovery. They have sprays and microbials that handle MRSA in your locker room, your uniform, your gear. You can use them in your weight room, handling and disinfecting the areas that we need to take care of, all right? They've got some fundraising platforms, some custom apparel that they do. They just cover a bunch of different things. Great company located in Wisconsin, so proud to be partnering up with Brandtek as well. Sting8740@gmail.com. Any virtual clinics I have on my YouTube site that are not public, email me, let me know what you want. I'll tell you how we can get you those if you want all of them. $15, 20 hours of football, 11 virtual clinics that we've done, myself, other coaches, Noma Zone, local head coaches, Devin Bison, offensive line coach at West Alabama, defensive coordinator at Colgate, did one for us. All right, so if you're interested in virtual clinics, you're trying to learn, you're trying to get better, email me, sting8740@gmail.com. All right, so a lot of talk about 7-on-7 the last, 10, 15, 20 years maybe, however you want to look at it. And, are there benefits to 7-on-7? What is 7-on-7? Is it good? Is it bad? What we do at our school, all right, is we do not enter 7-on-7 leagues. We do a 7-on-7 that's associated with the state of Florida, that the state of Florida said is legal, all right, and we treat it as sessions for us to work on techniques, fundamentals, things we need to do to get better, prepping our install for the spring. We will play in a competition, all right, but we don't play in weekly competitions. We don't set up 7-on-7 to compete in a 7-on-7 format fashion. We will enter a tournament over the summer. We will play in a state-sanctioned competition through that league, right, of all the teams in the state that are entered in that league. All right, but we don't do it. We don't travel. We don't do it to play in tournaments every weekend. All right, we don't do it really for exposure for our players. We do it as an educational piece only. So to me, 7-on-7 can be a really good thing if it is treated the right way. And for us, we treat it as an extension of our practices and our install. So on the defensive side, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to work on techniques and fundamentals with our kids, right? So I'm trying to work on backpedaling, transitions, how we play man coverage, different man techniques, trying to figure out who can play certain man techniques. Do we have kids that are really good press players? Do we have kids that are off players? Can we teach kids how to play catch man technique, right? Techniques and fundamentals, ball skills. Same thing offense should be doing. Route running, stance, start, all right? Ball receiving skills, quarterback throwing the ball, quarterback mechanics, drops, all the things that you can be working on, all right, with your program. And if you're in a high school setting like we are, all right, things that you need to do to get your football team better. So we're not really going to look at it from, the positives, negatives of 7-on-7. We're going to take 7-on-7, the legality of what we can do before spring practice, all right, and in adherence with all the rules and guidelines of what we can do, we're going to do the things that we think make us a better football team. We're going to do the things that we think create better football players, right? So the drill work, all right, the technique work, the fundamental work. This is extra time that we can get spent on those things that we may not get time when the season starts. When the season starts and you're talking about installs and rosters and depth charts and game plans, sometimes you don't have as much time to do that. This is the time of the year, along with your weight room work, where you should be developing football players and getting them better at playing football. Skill development, fundamental technique development, right? That's what we use it for. We don't go into it and say, all right, look, let's get a 7-on-7 playbook of all the empty 7-on-7 beaters, 4x1, 3x2, 5 verticals, tailbacks down the middle of the field, right? I don't look at it from a defensive standpoint and say, all right, look, let's play the 2 or 3 things we know that are highly successful in 7-on-7. We don't approach it from a success in 7-on-7 standpoint. We approach it from the guidelines for us, the pedagogy of this is a way for us to make our kids better, right? So what are the things we are going to do? So for us, when we are talking coverages, all right, the first thing we want to do is introduce our base pattern match coverages, the things that we play day one, right? So we want to drill our kids, almost reorientate our older players, teach some of our newer players what is our base defense, right? Sometimes for us, this is the time of year where JV might have had a limited, amount of install that got them through the season, and they might not have played some of the things that we play on offense or defense at the varsity level. This is the teaching process for them in a time and space that we have, all right, available to us to teach them, where maybe we only played certain deals on defense with them because that's how they could be successful during the season. All right, well, now we can get them indoctrinated to what we do on a varsity level, teach them a little bit more. We don't have the fear. Yes, we play, in limited games and we will enter a tournament, but we don't have the fear of success or failure as far as game results are concerned. Our concern is getting our kids better. So we're going to start teaching our base pattern match deal, right? So we're going to start by teaching how we use our split field, middle of the field open, 2 read, all right, to 2 removed. Start with open sets first, 2 removed, because we feel like whether it's both sides or one side of the ball, we see a bunch of 2 removed. So we're going to start with that first. We're going to go through the rules. We're going to go through, all right, what we declare. So when we talk about handling the push of number 3, all right, who relates to number 3? Wide or tight releases of number 3, all right, taking the player that's the apex player and saying, all right, you either swing deep a 3, 3 doesn't out leverage you, 2 doesn't cross your face. Curl push player, drop to the curl until 3 pushes you to the flat. All right, the inside component of it, you are a 3 vertical player. You are relating to a wide or tight release. If 3 pushes, you push and you find a new 3 coming in. Teaching these 2 guys or these 2 guys to work in tandem with each other off the release of 3. Teaching these 2 players or these 2 players to work in tandem off the release of number 2, right? That's where we start all the time. That's where we start day one. Well, on the offensive side of the ball, they're probably starting with teaching quarterbacks how to read coverage, teaching receivers how to read, all right, what they're looking at with leverage and depths and high safeties and capped or grass or however you go about teaching your offense. That's where you want to start it with, right? That's where you want to start, and when you start with your basic installs. Then what we're going to progress to is as the offense is starting to do things within their pattern combinations to affect what we are doing within our pattern match, we are then going to start looking at our next phase of coverage or our protection pieces, right? So when you start getting the routes that might be giving you issues or the ways that they can attack or the things that they are doing to say, okay, here's what, for instance, for argument's sake, if you took a push of a 3, all right, with a spacing concept underneath, right? And they are throwing that with 3 underneath routes, pushing 3, get the nickel to expand, and now putting the Mike in a position where there's 2 routes underneath that he can't cover both of them because we are playing a corner and a safety high, right? So now getting to a point where you go from a pattern match to where maybe the next thing we talk to our guys about, all right, is playing cover 2 or a zone spot drop, all right, however you want to teach your theory of zone defense, all right. You're never going to say just cover grass. You're never going to say just drop here and cover nothing. But at the same time, we're not relating to the patterns and matching them as far as the pushes are concerned and the interchanges are concerned, right? So now if we went to cover 2 with a flat defender, all right, a curl defender, a hook defender, and a half defender, now we can teach them that if we're getting flooded underneath with these types of concepts, right, spacing concepts that are giving our pattern match issues, now we can teach the next coverage component of why we would want to carry this version of coverage for what it protects, right? For the things that it is good for, okay? Then we're always going to want to show our guys the issues we're going to have when we're in that coverage, right? So now if we were to get some type of outside vertical release here, the inside release, or possibly the post move there, now we're going to teach our kids in that coverage the issues that we have. So this is the perfect time of year for you to be working on not only your base coverages, okay, but you are now working on your protection pieces while you carry other coverages. And this is the time of year where I really emphasize to our kids, when we're in certain coverages, where are we weak? What are they going to do to attack, excuse me, those coverages, all right? What throws can we give up if we have to give something up? How can we cover deep to short? Where are the holes in that coverage? All right. And how does that coverage relate? So if we're pattern match and we are doing a better job defending verticals and they're flooding us underneath with spacing concepts, what is our answer? A lot of the times when you get to the season, you're so game plan orientated and you're so involved in what the game plan is and your movements and your pressures and your first down calls and your nickel packages and your short yardage stuff. You have all the pieces in and you're plugging the pieces in, but during the week you're not always necessarily talking about, all right, why the answers are the answers. Hopefully at that point we've done such a great job in 7-on-7 and in the off season that our kids know what the answers are on offense and defense. They know the protection pieces that we need to go to, right? So your offense knows what they need to do when they're facing man coverage teams. And they know the concepts that we're going to use. And the quarterback knows how to decipher coverages, right? And all the things that we've tried to teach. So it's the educational process, not only the skill development, but the educational process of how we teach what we are teaching. One of the other things that we'll do to 2 removed, and I do this for 2 reasons. Obviously, as a former head coach, offensive coach, I do this for 2 reasons. I do it for us, but I also do it for the offense and the quarterback, right? So we'll play a version of quarters where we set the apex outside, all right? We play whether it's mod, meg, or off press, however we decide to do it. For right now, I'll just do it off mod, all right? Where we play a version of quarters defense, okay? And now we are teaching our kids what routes are going to give us issue in quarters. Why would we want to go to quarters? Why would we change the leverage of the nickel, all right, from inside apex to outside leverage on number 2? Why would we play mod or, all right, man concepts, mod man concepts on number 1? How does that affect the safety? How does that affect the Mike? Why would we do that? Why would we want to change leverage? Talking about the things that they might be doing in the passing game, all right, that are giving us some issues that we feel like a coverage adjustment changing the coverage component, changing the leverage, changing the assignments, how that can impact the offense, right? While we're doing that, I'm also going to talk to our kids a little bit about, hey guys, if we were getting issues with outside runs, jet sweeps, perimeter runs, because when we are apexed, they are getting our apex force defender blocked and we're having to crack replace with the safety. If we want to keep better leverage on outside runs, this is a coverage component we can use, right? So we're still talking about football. We're still talking about run game and how we may potentially impact the run game with our coverages while we're just working against passing concepts, right? So I'll throw those things in there too, because 7-on-7 to me this time of year is an educational forum. We're trying to teach our kids not only how to get better skills, fundamentals, techniques, but how our pieces on offense and defense play into each other. Now, how does that help the offense? I'm now teaching the quarterback, all right, how to recognize leverage of a nickel, depth of a corner, depth of a safety, right? So we're now trying to teach them the pictures to say, hey, look, when the nickel's outside of 2, what are they trying to do? When the nickel's inside of 2, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do when the corner's down low and the safety's real high? What are they trying to do when the corner is inside leverage off? All right. Do they have a difference in technique when they're playing versions of man or versions of their zone or pattern match stuff, right? Because I want this guy to get better also. Now, right now, I'm a defensive coordinator, so I only worry about one side of the ball. But I do feel like part of my job is helping the offense get better in this time of year and lending some of my knowledge from being a head coach and an offensive coordinator to things that we can be doing to help the quarterback. So even though I'm working on defensive coverages and coverage change-ups for my guys, and even though I'm plugging in all the pieces week by week, all right, in the toolbox, I'm adding a tool to the toolbox week by week, right? I'm also helping that guy back there because that guy back there ultimately on Friday nights is going to help me and us as a team. Right? So I want to do things that are helping everybody. I don't want to go out there. One thing we do now, we like to compete. My head coach loves to compete. I love to compete. I'm not saying we don't compete. But I am not going to play the drill to win the drill without getting these guys better. So I want to be able to not only plug in components of changes. All right? So for us, like I talked about it on YouTube yesterday. To 2 removed, all right? So to 2 removed, we might start with our palms theory. All right, the next deal we made is our quarters theory. All right, then we're going to go to our cover 2 theory. Then we're going to go to some of our, all right, combo man theories, what most people would call their press quarters looks or things like that. Now, why am I doing that? I'm teaching the protection pieces to our coverages. I'm teaching all the tools that we're going to place in the toolbox to handle 2 removed. At the same time, I'm giving this kid multiple looks of what he needs to do when coverage is changing. I'm giving these kids multiple looks if they have choice routes, if they have option routes, if they have to understand the layering and the spacing of their routes, all right, and how they affect certain concepts, how they affect certain coverages. If coach is trying to teach them game plan components to say, hey, look, when we're facing this coverage, we like these concepts. Getting them comfortable with different concepts because offense and defense go hand in hand. We both need to get better. We're going to play the game as a team. I need the offense to get better. I want the offense to get better. I want to help my offensive coaches. I want to help my receiver coaches decipher coverages, understand technique. All right. I want to help my guys get tools in the toolbox. Right. Then we'll come back and we'll go back to inside leverage like our palms look, but maybe we'll play man with our corner and safety with zone matching concepts underneath. Right. We don't call that press quarters. I know that look might be a press quarterist deal to some people. To me, it's irrelevant what you call it. Bottom line is we're playing man on 1, man on 2, or we're playing 2 up and out with the safety. If 2's in, we can double 1 or do whatever we need to do. The underneath guys are still relating off of 3, all right, for their coverage components. So now I'm giving man looks to the receivers. Now we can do one-on-ones and we can work man-to-man deals because we have a man-to-man package in. I can teach this kid how we need him to play press, or I can teach him how we need him to play off, or we can teach him maybe how to bail. And I can teach this kid how to play off, or I can teach him how to catch. We also teach him how to press just in case maybe we get 2 on, 1 off, all right? And we have a safety that we feel like might be a press guy, it might be a converted corner, right? So this is the time of year that we're trying to do all that. And we're giving the offense the same thing. So we're working on getting better. We're working on change-ups. We're working on installs. We're working on protection pieces. But we're giving the offense things that they need to see to get better also, right? So I don't just approach it to go out there on my day and say, hey, look, this is what we're playing. Give me different route combinations. Give me whatever you need. No, we're working together to say that these are the things we need to do to play winning football, right? So 7-on-7 for me, all right, I don't necessarily look at it. The down part of 7-on-7 is when you have kids that are competing and traveling all over, and maybe they're kids playing with different high school teams, and maybe there's some talk about where they might go, or maybe they could go to a different high school to get more exposure, or teaching kids at 7-on-7 is where they're going to get their exposure. In the recruiting world, I still firmly believe that the exposure comes from playing 11-on-11 during the season. Okay, yes, you're going to go to camps. Yes, maybe there's some people at 7-on-7s. I still don't think if you go to your everyday 7-on-7 that you're going to see them flooded with a ton of college head coaches, college recruiters, but you're still going to see those guys coming to spring games in the fall. So I still think the recruiting process, the exposure, runs through 11-on-11. We play 11-on-11 football. But I don't take it from the standpoint of saying it's negative. I have kids on my team, defensive players, that are playing with 7-on-7 teams in 7-on-7 leagues. If they're getting extra exposure to football, that's great. My job when they get back to me is I got to teach them how I want to play. I know that they've learned something else, and what I try to tell them is, hey, look, that coach has ideas, that coach has knowledge and experience. He's giving you some of his knowledge and experience. When you come play for me, I need you to play this way. I try not to degrade other people and say that, no, that's stupid, that's dumb, we don't do that. I try to take it from the standpoint of saying, hey, when you're playing with him, that's his ideas, that's his technique. When you play with me, this is what we got to do, right? I try to use that and I don't even know the guys that coach our players. So I try to use it as, building a streamline between it to say, look, you're playing football, that's great. 7-on-7 is a little bit different when we do 7-on-7, because when they come back to us, what they're going to say is, Coach, are we playing games? Coach, are we doing full 7-on-7? No, we're doing half line. Well, why are we only doing half line? I just got back from a tournament in Baltimore, or I just got back from a tournament in Tallahassee. Why are we only doing half line? Well, because this is what we think is important to teach, because eventually we got to play 11-on-11. 7-on-7 for us is not a season. 7-on-7 for us is a part of the process to get better in August, September, October, November, hopefully December, right? That's what 7-on-7 is for us. So it's just about how you educate your players, how you talk to your players. If you're going to bash it all the time and degrade it, well, then you're going to have a hard time getting your kids to take it with any bit of importance when you do it out on the field. So we just tell them how it's a little bit different, how we view 7-on-7, and then I use it as a big-time teaching environment to hit on all the things I think that I can't get to in season when we're inundated with game plans and winning games, right? Because ultimately, when you get to the season, installs, game plans, we got to win. However, we got to win. If it's one coverage, win that way. If it's two coverages, win that way. If we got a blitz or pressure, win that way. However, we have to win. So I think this is the time of the year where we can really be educating our players, getting our coaches. This is the time of year where I like to take some of my assistants that are out there and say, hey, look, you got the corners and the safeties today. I'm not going to coach them. You're going to coach them, and you're going to learn how to make the adjustments. And I'm then going to help you with that, right? Because if I'm very vocal during the year and I'm trying to coach a bunch of positions and a position guy takes a back seat, well, now this is my chance to tell him, hey, I'll tell the corner guy. Last week I told the corners guy, I said, hey, look, I need you to make the adjustments for the corners and the safety. I want you to pattern match with them off of the release of number 2, and I want you to coach both of them. Because I think it's important that the corners know how the safeties react, and I think it's important that the safeties know how the corners react because it's a big piece of the puzzle, right? So I try to get, assistant coaches if they can get more involved. And then my head coach is always going to ask me, hey, how are these guys doing? What do you think? Can we give them more responsibility, right? So it's a chance for them to show some of the things that they're learning. So for us, it's all about teaching, using it as a positive, not using it as a negative, using it our way though, right? We're not using it to travel. We're not using it to play in multiple leagues and games and tournaments. We're going to play in a game. We're going to play in a tournament. We're going to use it as practice. We almost never, we've been doing it for 2 weeks now. We haven't gone, I think we've gone full field one time. All right, one day, yesterday was the first day we went full field. Every other defensive day I've had has been half line. 2x2, 3x1, trip side, 2 receiver side with the back. That's all we worked on so far because I'm not so worried about the competition of the 7-on-7 yet. I'm worried about teaching the components of coverage, protection pieces, why we need them, what the offense is doing, how the offense is beating that coverage, what coverage can we use to impact that, right? So everything you get from the weight room, off-season, summer, 7-on-7, spring if you get it like we do in 18 or 19 practices, everything should be used as your, overall composite, your overall calendar of how do we take all this time and gear towards the fall program, right? So now I get a chance to look at some install, and when do I get to install, and what do I have installed, what do I need to install? And then when we get to the spring, what are we going to install? What changes are we making? What personnel? All right, so we're evaluating personnel. We're teaching skills and drills. We're teaching coverage components, teaching our base, teaching our protection pieces, right? This is a great time of year to do all those things, and that's what I think in the high school setting, 7-on-7 should be used for. That's how I think you make it the most the most appropriate learning environment for your players, coaches, and your program. Just my opinion, just how we do it. If you do it a different way, totally up to you. All right, I appreciate all you guys watching. Remember to subscribe, turn the notifications on so you know when we do a video or we jump on YouTube Live. I'm going to try and jump on sometime this weekend, tomorrow night. Weightlifting today, so I can't do it today. Tomorrow night, maybe Friday night, whenever I get free time, try to jump on YouTube Live. All right, so thumbs up, thumbs down. You like the video, don't like the video. Always leave a comment. If you leave a comment, whether you agree or disagree, it's your opinion. I appreciate you watching, and I can give you my opinion on why we do it that way, or I can talk to you about the way you do it, and maybe I can steal some things from you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of what we do. Thanks for following along with Play Fast. Excited, all right, not only to be working with our current partners, but the 2 new partners that we're picking up. Excited to keep building the brand, keep building the opportunity to try and educate people, help people get better. Businesses helping businesses. These guys help me. I try to help them. That's the world that we're in, right? One hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. Let's take care of each other. Take care of the people that take care of you. Always be loyal. Don't chase a dollar just to chase a dollar. Stay loyal. All right, let's build a brand. Let's take it further than it's ever been before. Appreciate everything you guys do. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. I will see you next time.